She was never testing how successful you are. She was watching how you handled the moment the waiter got your order wrong. That's it. That small, forgettable, throwaway moment, that's where she made one of her most important decisions about you. And most men have no idea this is even happening. They're thinking about how they look, what they're saying, whether she's attracted to them, while she's quietly running an assessment that goes so deep it bypasses her conscious mind entirely. This isn't something she read in a book. She didn't decide to do it. It's older than language. And the men who understand what it is, they move through the world differently. They don't just attract women, they keep them. They make women feel something most men will never be able to produce. Stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're going to see every small moment in your life from a completely different angle. And one of them, the most important one, I'm saving for the very end. Let's talk about what's really happening. There's a concept I want to introduce to you, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it. It's not something the dating coaches talk about. It's not in the pickup forums. It's not the surface level stuff about eye contact and body language that you've seen 1,000 times. This is something that operates in the background of every interaction you will ever have with a woman, quietly, constantly, invisibly. And it has a name, the competence test. Not a test she gives you consciously, not a checklist, not a set of questions. A test that her nervous system runs automatically, without her permission, without her even being aware of it. Her subconscious is collecting data on you from the very first moment, and it's looking for one specific thing. Not your status, not your looks, not how funny you are. It's looking for evidence of how you function when something goes wrong. And brother, something always goes wrong. The parking spot is taken. The reservation gets lost. The phone dies. The elevator is broken. The weather turns. The plan falls apart at the last second. Life is a series of small obstacles, and she is watching, really watching, to see who you are inside those moments. Here's what most men do, and this is where the pain is. Most men either overreact or collapse. They get frustrated too fast, they lose their composure, they make the problem bigger than it is, and in that moment, something shifts inside her. Something quiet and cold. Not anger, not disgust. Something closer to a door closing. She doesn't announce it. She doesn't even fully understand it. But her body felt something, and it wasn't safety. It wasn't strength. It was the feeling of being with someone who isn't solid. Or the other pattern, the collapse. The man who apologizes for everything, who gets flustered, who looks to her to decide what to do next, who treats every inconvenience like a personal failure. Brother, I want you to hear this clearly. She doesn't want to be your mother in that moment. She doesn't want to be the stable one while you come apart. That's not a partnership she can surrender to. And deep in her biology, this is not about fairness. This is not about who's right. Deep in her biology, she is wired to look for the man who holds steady when the water gets rough. There was a time, I'll be honest with you, when I didn't understand any of this. I was with someone I genuinely cared about, and we were at an airport, and our flight got delayed. 4 hours. And I just fell apart internally. I complained. I kept checking the board. I couldn't let it go. I made the whole thing worse. She went quiet. I thought she was tired. She wasn't tired. She was recalibrating. I could feel something had shifted, and I didn't have the language for it then. I do now. That moment wasn't about an airport. It was about who I was under pressure. And she saw clearly. Now let me give you the actual map, because this isn't about becoming a robot. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending nothing affects you. That's performance, and women detect performance faster than almost anything else. Their subconscious is extraordinarily finely tuned to authenticity, and a man who is faking calm is actually more unsettling than a man who is genuinely frustrated. What we're talking about is something different, something real, something that once you build it, you carry it everywhere. Level 1, the pause. Studies in behavioral psychology consistently show that the first 3 seconds after an unexpected problem reveal more about a person's nervous system than hours of normal conversation. Her brain, operating on primal instincts developed across thousands of years, registers what happens in those 3 seconds before your words even register, before you speak, before you decide. In those 3 seconds, your body has already said something. The men who pass this part of the competence test do one thing that most men never consciously develop. They pause. Not a dramatic pause, not a performance of control, a genuine internal pause. A moment where they absorb what just happened without immediately reacting to it. One breath, sometimes less. And in that small window, something extraordinary happens. Her nervous system reads it as steadiness. Her body notices that you didn't spike, you didn't flood. You absorbed the information and you held. That's level 1, the pause. Practice it. Not because it's a technique, but because it represents a real internal shift. The difference between a man who is at the mercy of circumstances and a man who is bigger than his circumstances. Level 2, the reframe. After the pause comes the voice, and the voice carries everything. Brother, it's not what you say. It's the quality underneath what you say. There's a texture to the voice of a man who is genuinely unbothered. Not performing unbothered, genuinely unbothered. And her body reads it like a signal, like music. There are men who, when a problem arises, say something like, "All right, let's figure this out." And the words themselves are simple, but the frequency underneath them is calm, warm, and forward-facing. And there are men who say the exact same words, but the frequency underneath is tight, embarrassed, slightly panicked, and she hears the second man clearly. The reframe is when you genuinely redirect your own attention from the problem to the solution. Not suppressing your frustration, not pretending, but actually leading your own mind toward what can be done next. Women are neurologically drawn to this. It's not something she chooses. Studies in attachment behavior consistently show that a partner who redirects toward solutions rather than dwelling in the problem activates a deep sense of security in the female partner, a felt sense of, "I am safe with this person." It doesn't matter if the problem is small. Her subconscious doesn't sort by size. It sorts by pattern. Level 3, the decision. This is where most men reveal themselves most completely. And most don't even realize it's a test at all. After the pause and the reframe, there is always a moment where a decision needs to be made. And the man who makes the decision, cleanly, without over-asking, without excessive hedging, without looking at her to save him, that man does something to her that she will not be able to explain to her friends later. She will just say, "I feel so comfortable with him." She will say, "He just handles things." And she won't be able to articulate the specific moment it happened. But you and I know when it happened. It happened when you said simply and directly, "Let's do this instead," and moved. Not with arrogance, not with a need to be seen making the call, but with the quiet confidence of a man who trusts himself to navigate. And that trust, that self-trust, is more attractive than almost anything else a man can carry. Let me give you the 3 forms this plays out in real life, because theory only takes you so far. A restaurant you booked is full. The host made a mistake. In that moment, she is watching. The man who argues loudly, who performs his frustration as a kind of dominance, actually fails the test. He's making a scene to look powerful, and she reads it as insecurity dressed up as anger. The man who immediately, without drama, says, "No problem, I know another place," and means it and moves. That man just passed something she didn't even know she was grading. Her body leaned toward him. Her nervous system said yes. Her car has a problem. Something mechanical, something she doesn't understand. The man who doesn't know the answer but says confidently, "Let me figure this out," and then actually figures it out, or calls someone who can, or solves it with whatever's available. That man activated something primal in her. She did not need him to be a mechanic. She needed him to not crumble. She needed to see that when life brings him a problem, he brings life a solution. You're both running late. Everything is off schedule. The pressure is real. There's a cascade of small problems hitting one after another. And she watches to see if you stay you. Not perfect, not immune to stress, but fundamentally you. Grounded, present, still able to smile, still able to say, "We're fine, let's just move." That continuity of self under pressure, that's what she's looking for. That's what makes her feel like she can rest into you. Now here is the thing I promised you earlier, the one I held back. The one that most men, even men who've heard some version of what I've been saying tonight, still completely miss. It's not just about how you handle problems in front of her. It's about the problems you handle when she isn't there. And somehow, she always finds out. Let me explain. Women have an almost chemical sensitivity to congruence. Her subconscious is doing something extraordinary all the time. It's matching your behavior in high-stakes moments against your behavior in low-stakes moments. Your behavior with her against your behavior with others. Your behavior when you think you're being watched against the residue of your behavior when you think you're not. And it builds a picture, an unconscious composite, a felt sense of who you actually are as opposed to who you're presenting. This is why the waiter matters. This is why how you talk about your boss matters. This is why how you handle a delayed package, a wrong charge on your bank account, a broken piece of furniture. All of it is data. Not because she's consciously filing it, but because her nervous system is building a portrait of your character. And that portrait is the foundation on which every feeling of attraction she has for you either rests or crumbles. The man who treats the waiter poorly, even subtly, a slight edge in the voice, an impatience that he doesn't bother hiding, she feels it. Even if she says nothing, even if she smiles through the dinner, something in her registered it. Something in her made a small mark, and those small marks accumulate. But the opposite is also true. And this is the part that feels almost sacred when you fully understand it. The man who handles the small moments beautifully, who is patient with the waiter, who solves the logistical problem without drama, who stays warm when things go sideways, who leads without needing to announce that he's leading. That man builds something in her that cannot be manufactured any other way. It's not attraction in the conventional sense. It's deeper. It's trust, real trust. The kind that lives in the body, not the mind. The kind that makes her weeks or months later find herself thinking about him without knowing why. The kind that makes her feel, and this is the phrase women use when they finally find this, like she can breathe around him. That's what the competence test is really measuring. Not whether you're impressive, not whether you're powerful, whether she can breathe around you. Because a woman who can breathe around you, really breathe, nervous system calm, body not braced, mind not scanning for the next problem. That woman will open to you in ways that have nothing to do with what you said or how you looked. She will choose you in ways she cannot fully explain. She will defend you to her friends not with reasons but with a feeling. And she will, in the quiet moments that mean everything, let her guard down in a way she has probably never let her guard down before. That's the emotional surrender that most men only dream about. And it doesn't come from grand gestures. It doesn't come from the right words or the right moves. It comes from the accumulated evidence, small moment by small moment, test by silent test, that you are a man who can be trusted with the small things. And because of that, she knows, not thinks, knows, that you can be trusted with her. Brother, the men who never learn this will spend their whole lives chasing attraction and wondering why it disappears. Why the spark fades after a few weeks. Why she seemed so interested and then just wasn't. And they'll look everywhere for the answer. They'll try new approaches, new lines, new versions of themselves. But the answer was always in the small moments, the ones they thought didn't matter. You now know something most men will never know. Not because it's hidden or rare, because it requires a kind of awareness that most men haven't been taught to develop. But you're here, you're paying attention, and that already puts you in a different category. If this opened something in you tonight, if you felt something click, then do one thing. Share this with a brother who needs it, not for me. Because this is the kind of truth that changes how men show up, not just with women, but in their own lives. And the more men who walk through the world grounded, competent, genuinely steady, the better it is for everyone. Like this if it hit you somewhere real. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because next time, we're going into something even deeper. The moment she decides she wants to be alone with you. And the silent signal she sends that almost every man misreads as something else entirely. Don't miss it.